Hello, welcome everybody. We are talking today about how to build your anti-anxiety toolkit that you can use at work. I would love to know in the chat, let me know if you can hear me and everything is working out well. Just give me a hello in the chat. This is my first time using this particular piece of software, so bear with me if it doesn't quite work out. So yeah, we're today talking about anti-anxiety and particularly tools that you can use to reduce your anxiety. Some of you may have seen already the reel that I did on Instagram last week with the bilateral stimulation where you're passing a ball or an object backwards and forwards between your hands. Super effective. If you haven't seen that, I really recommend going and checking it out, giving it a go. Really effective way of reducing anxiety. But also, as some of you pointed out, quite rightly, not always appropriate for every single circumstance. You know, it might be that you are in public or in a work meeting, driving in the supermarket, and you don't want to be seen to be doing something, you know, that obvious of moving something backwards and forwards across your midline for a full minute or even longer to reduce your anxiety. And so what I wanted to do today was to talk about some ways that you can reduce your anxiety without having to do something that's quite so visible. So if that is what you want to know about, if you want to know tools and techniques that you could use in the workplace, while you're driving, at school, anywhere where you might be experiencing some anxiety or other overwhelming big feelings, but you don't want that to be really obvious to everybody around you, then you're in the right place. Before we get started, just quickly about me. Hello everybody, I'm Charlotte Rooney of A Half Managed Mind. I am a happiness and anti-burnout coach for successful women who are done with the regular trappings of success. They now want to spend some time focusing on fulfillment and happiness and their sense of purpose and meaning without having to take a pay cut, because we often think that those things are mutually exclusive. So those are the people that I tend to work with mostly. And being able to deal with your workplace emotions is kind of right at the start of how you're going to be able to make that type of transition. I am an integrative life coach. I am not a therapist. And although some of the techniques that we talk about today are similar to things that might be used in forms of therapy and were taught to me, in fact, by a therapist, I want to be clear that I am not one. Caveats aside. Okay, so let's get started today. And I had promised you 3 techniques to help you to reduce your anxiety in the moment that you could use in a public place. But as many of you also commented on my previous post, the first thing that we need to be able to do if we want to reduce anxiety or other big overwhelming feelings, it might be fear, it might be anger, it could be frustration, anything like that, is we need to know when we are feeling those things, and we need to be able to feel those things. So let's think about how that's possible. Firstly, emotions in and of themselves are harmless. That is something that it took me a long time to really accept as someone with a history of clinical anxiety and depression. When somebody first said to me, "Your feelings can't hurt you," I did not believe them. I was like, "You are wrong. You have not been inside my head. You have no idea how bad these emotions can feel, and you have no idea the thoughts that I may have had off the back of how terrible I have felt." And if that's you right now, please get some help. Reach out to your family, your friends, a therapist, someone who can help you, because it's a terrible place to be, and these techniques could help you, but don't do it alone. Get some help. Having come through that, I will say that now I do accept that it's true. Your feelings in and of themselves are harmless. So I would love to know, anybody who's there, pop in the chat, and hopefully it will come through to me here. How do you feel about your feelings right now? Is that something where you're really comfortable, you know when you're feeling what you're feeling, not afraid of them at all? Or are you more along the side of, don't really want to be feeling these feelings, I do everything I can to avoid them? And that's really, really normal. But If you don't know how to feel your feelings, if you don't know when you are experiencing these emotions, these techniques don't work because you're not going to know when to use them. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is how to know when you're feeling a feeling. Feelings are a reaction in your body to an external stimulus, and that might be a conscious stimulus, something that you have thought about and seen. It might be an unconscious stimulus, so something that you have picked up on but hasn't necessarily come to the forefront of your mind. But it triggers within you a body reaction and a brain reaction in terms of chemical changes and activation in the body and brain. You will feel that as physical sensation in your body, and you may notice things happening in your thoughts as well. For the sake of all of these techniques, it's really useful to focus much more on the physical side of things and to try to step back from the thoughts and observe what's going on. So, for example, let's give this a go. That's probably going to be the easiest thing. The first thing I do want to say before we dive into this exercise is you are a sovereign human. You are master of your fate. Do not do anything that I suggest if your body says no. If you think fully this is not for me, don't do it. Okay. So what I want you to do, if you are in a safe space where you can do this, I'm going to invite you to practice noticing your feelings with me. And I would like to invite you to think of something which causes you mild anxiety on a scale of sort of 1, not worried about it at all, to 10, overwhelming, can't function. We want to be at like a 3. So something really, really mild. So I'd like you to take a moment, find yourself in that space, and have the thought that brings up something, some mild anxiety. And the question I have for you is, how do you know that you are anxious? It might be that you notice racing thoughts. It might be sweaty palms or tension somewhere. So these are the signs that you are beginning to feel an emotion, and these are the points that can trigger you to think about using some of these techniques that we're going to talk about today. So the first one is really useful for people who are like, I can't get out of my head when I feel anxious. My brain is going a million miles an hour. Way I know I'm anxious is I've got really, really churning thoughts, and I couldn't possibly tell you what was going on in my body at this time because I'm too much in my head. If that's you, or even if that's not you, this is what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do now is I want you to notice where you're at on that scale, and we're going to do that by just gently scanning through the physical part of yourself. So how does your head feel? What are you noticing in your jaw, in your neck? How about your chest and shoulders? Is it tight, loose? There may be a big leaden ball or some spiky action going on in there. Scan down. Notice your arms. Notice your chest, your abdomen, your hands, your hips, your legs and your feet. And really try to focus on the sensations. So for me, anxiety really often comes in my jaws. I tense my jaws a lot. I clench my teeth. It feels buzzy and tense inside me, and I feel kind of twitchy when I'm anxious. So those are things that I would notice. And I would often have racing thoughts as well. So just take note of what you can feel. And if you can't feel anything, don't worry. What we're going to do now is my first technique. And the first technique is about your jaw and your tongue. And these are very closely linked to your vagus nerve, which is the part of your nerve that is to do with your parasympathetic nervous system, which is when it is calm, you will feel calm. So I want you to imagine that your jaw is dropping to the floor. And relax your tongue so that it's lying in the bottom of your mouth, and particularly focus on relaxing the back of your tongue. So I don't know if you can see this, but you'd be able to use this in any public place because you really can't tell that I'm doing it. So this is before I'm doing it. And now I'm going to do this exercise. So I'm imagining my jaw falling all the way to the floor. I'm imagining the muscles relaxing. I'm imagining a release here and in my neck. But it may or may not be visible to someone from the outside. And you just do this until you imagine your jaw all the way to the floor. Then you can bring it back up again and do it again. And do it again. I'd love to know how what effect that has had on your anxiety. So do pop in the chat. If you were a 3 before, what are you feeling right now? So that's the first really easy way of bringing your levels down to somewhere where you have more sense of awareness of what is going on for you, and you can then continue breathing deeply and moving through your body scan. So that's our first technique, is to notice that it's happening, and when it is happening, we're going to start imagining that jaw going all the way down to the ground. And don't worry if you don't have a perfect picture in your mind. It doesn't matter whether you can visualize it like a movie. It's just about imagining that sense of relaxation. I use this all the time because I have TMJ, so I clench and grind my teeth, and so I use this one to practice relaxing all the time. Super helpful. The next one, if that one is not for you, that I would like to suggest is another one that you can do really easily without anyone knowing that you're doing it. And it is an exercise called Stop the World. Sometimes people know it as peripheral vision. And it is about expanding your area of awareness so that you increase your feeling of safety. It's as though you can kind of see more around you so you know that you're safe. So for this one, the way I would suggest doing this is, first off, give yourself a bit of a movement and a shake, because, we just had one round. You may be feeling like you need a little bit of movement. Always listen to what your body wants. And this one takes a little bit of practice, but you can do it at any time. You could do it while you're out for a walk. You could do it while you were on Zoom, while you're driving. It's perfectly safe to do in pretty much any circumstance, because you are in your vision and you are paying attention to your surroundings. So it's about bringing you into the moment. Again, moving away from the thoughts that are going round and round in your head, which tend to cause that increased anxiety, into a present moment to allow your body to do what it knows how to do, which is to reduce those chemical activation signals and the kind of tensing sensations in your body that are coming from the cause of the anxiety. So what you want to do is you want to look ahead at something, generally just not super hyper focused on a single point, but also not completely zoned out. So just sort of let your eyes be loose. As I say this, I'm thinking maybe don't do this while you're actually driving. Probably not a good idea, but you can do it while you're walking. So look straight ahead and pick a point, like sort of vaguely focus on it. A bit like if you do yoga, that drishti that they talk about, where you find a focal point, but you don't laser in on it. I imagine this in a very similar way. So you're looking ahead. And then what I want you to do while you're looking at that point ahead is to bring your awareness to your peripheral vision. So kind of down here, around here, and up to the top. And where is the point where you stop being able to see? And then as you breathe gently, you imagine that you can push your peripheral vision wider, as though you could see further back and further back behind you, and further down underneath you and up above. Just gently stretching out. I often find that I blink a lot when I'm doing this to begin with, because I'm like opening my eyes physically wider as I try to strengthen my vision. If you notice yourself doing that, that's absolutely fine. Just relax and remember that you actually don't need to open the eyes wide like that to make this work. It's about imagining that you can push the vision further. And seeing further and further, almost like as you could see all the way behind you in a 360 and all the way down, from your desk down to your legs if you're sitting down, all the way down to your feet and up to the ceiling and beyond. And just breathing as you gently edge those things wider. And then allow your mind to go beyond what you can see. So your mind is observing outside the walls of the room that you're in, above the ceiling, underneath the ground, and taking in all of the world around you and your space in it, in the middle. When you've had enough, just blink your eyes back to normal, bring your focus back to normal, and again, any movements that your body wants, let them feel that. So we've had two of my techniques that you can do, and you can see now how both of those really don't involve any movement at all. So unlike the bilateral stimulation, where we were tossing a ball basically, and you might look a bit odd if you were doing that. Nobody needs to know that you're performing either of those things at any given time. And so they're really useful if you do find yourself noticing sensations in your body that suggest anxiety is happening, or you notice your thoughts starting to race. You can use these to bring yourself down. And one of the key things is that it's very difficult to have your mind racing at the same time as you're doing these. And so what you can't do is have those thoughts re-triggering the beginning of those hormonal and energetic changes that come with strong emotion. So your body can then complete the full activation cycle and come back to normal without your thoughts taking you back to the beginning so that you restart every time. And that's when you get kind of stuck in your anxiety, because you're thinking about the thing which is starting the cascade of the hormones again, which is making you feel anxious again, and then you try to calm down and then you go back to it and you start again, and that's when you feel as though you might be trapped in it. You're not trapped in it. It's okay. You just keep coming back to the beginning and starting it again. So you can use these techniques, and you might need to layer them. You might find that the imagining the jaw dropping is enough to get it to a level where you can then do something else, leave the situation, whatever is necessary. But they will all provide you those different opportunities and options depending on where you are. So I keep saying so. The final exercise that I want to do today is one that is really useful in any situation where you don't feel safe, basically, emotionally safe. If you are not physically safe in a particular situation, run away, or whatever is right. But if you're not feeling emotionally safe in a certain situation, or having a thought and you are starting to feel that anxiety rising, then this one can be really useful. You can do it seated or standing, doesn't matter. I'm going to do it seated because that's what I am doing right now. If you are also seated, then great. If you are standing, that's fine. Either way, try to get your feet on the floor so that you can feel the support of the floor. And again, I'm going to invite you, you do not have to, but I'm going to invite you to conjure for yourself a state of mild anxiety. No more than a 2 or a 3. Don't put yourself in a position where you wouldn't be able to continue your day if you wanted to afterwards. Once you've got that, we're going to scan down again. So notice your head, your temples, your face, your jaw, neck, shoulders, chest, abdomen, arms, hands, hips, legs and feet. Notice what you can feel going on in your body right now. The sensations. Are they fast or slow, still, moving? Do they have a colour? Are they hot or cold, smooth or spiky, hard or soft? It's not important to have an answer for those, so don't think too deeply about it. If there is an answer, it will pop into your brain. If there is an answer, that's okay. Just notice what you can notice. And now I'm going to invite you to press your feet into the floor. Deliberately push against that support in the floor. I like to curl my toes inside my shoes and make little fists with my toes, and then let it go. But really feel the sense of the floor beneath you. And then the next piece that's important is to get support for your back. So if you're in a chair like this, you are going to want to push yourself backwards in the chair. So here, I think that will help. So you can see that it is all the way against my back, like that. And push yourself backwards. If you're standing, find a wall. It's the best thing to do, and get your back against a wall and rest into that wall. Lean into the wall and feel the pushback and the support that you are getting from the wall and from your feet on the ground. Feel how you are held by the floor, by the chair, by the wall, and supported all the way from the base of your spine up through your lower spine, mid-spine, upper spine, up to your shoulders, pushing backwards into that support. And feel the feet in the ground. And now repeat that scan. How are you feeling in other bits of your body? What's happening in your hands, your arms, your abdomen, your chest, your shoulders, your neck? What's happening here in your jaws, your head, your scalp? And as you focus on those sensations, describing them to yourself, noticing the texture of the wall and the temperature and the feel of your feet inside socks, or maybe not inside socks, inside shoes or not, against the floor which might be carpet or not. Feel all of the feelings that are coming in, those physical feelings and the support against your back. And as you do this and as you breathe, you just hold it there. And then you rate. Is it coming down? Are you now at a 2, maybe a 1? And stay in that space and breathing as you go. Again, whenever you're ready, you're going to feel like you want to move, your body wants to do something. Let it do that. And let me know in the chat how that was for you. Which of those techniques do you like? From the first one, if you like the jaw drop the most, put a 1. If you like the peripheral vision the most, give me a 2. And if you prefer that feeling of physical support against your back and your feet, then give me a number 3. So I would absolutely love to know from everybody who is here how things are going for you, whether you have found something useful and learned something new today. If you have any questions, then do let me know. I use these techniques myself frequently. Certainly when I was in corporate and I used to experience quite a lot of frustration, I used to use them frequently to help me reduce my feelings of frustration when I needed to. And nothing left then other than to say thank you so much for joining me today, and to also invite you, if you would like to know more techniques, I have a PDF download which is available either on my LinkedIn page as the link at the bottom of my page, or on my Facebook page if that's where you're watching me, again just to the side in the bio. You can click there and you will get sent a PDF with 20 other strategies that you can use for reducing anxiety or stress, increasing feelings of calm and happiness that can be used. Most of them can be used in the workplace. I think there's one that does involve dancing, so you may only want to do that if you're working from home. They all take less than 10 minutes, and they're all super effective ways of engaging with your body and learning to deal with your emotions, your strong emotions, in a way that is more positive for you, which in the workplace will of course mean that you are able to engage with your fullest faculties when you need to and when things get tough. So yes, that is everything from me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday, probably nearly the end of the day if you're in Europe or in the UK, which is technically still part of Europe. Early mornings, I guess, if you are in Europe. And if anyone is here from Asia, I am very impressed. Thank you so much for being awake at this time. Or if you're watching in the replay, let me know. So again, that link, if you want 20 other ways that you can reduce your stress, anxiety, and increase your happiness and calm, please follow the link in my profile, Facebook or LinkedIn. If you are thinking that you want some personal support with this, pop me a message. Just send me a message saying, help, I need some support. And I'm more than happy to talk to you about the ways that I can do that. And otherwise, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.